Welcome to episode 19 of Ralph's Stuff. Tonight we have a horror movie, Rain on the New Leicester Highway, A Tale of Horror. We also have a film from 1937 about bridging San Francisco Bay, the construction of the San Francisco Bay Bridge. I think you'll find that one very interesting as well. They say art is life, and life is art. So last night, coming home through a tremendous rainstorm on the New Leicester Highway, and having my video camera mounted in the car, I turned it on, and also we have a 1937 film about the building of the San Francisco Bay Bridge. So, on with the show. Thanks for dropping in again for Ralph's Stuff. Every Tuesday, 8:30. On Channel 20, support public access TV in Asheville. People were running. It was a dark and stormy night. It was really a dark and stormy night on the New Leicester Highway on February the 13th. 2007. The 13th, mind you, the 13th, fraught with ill and bad luck. And sure enough, the heavens had opened and it was raining like cats and dogs and mad dogs. It was on the 13th of February. And I had to leave the convenience store. Leave the dry and go out into the wet and drive home. Home so far away, at least 4 or 5 miles, through the rain, the dark. The guy who wouldn't get out in the traffic in front of me. It was horrible. I waited. It rained. It was dark. Finally, he moved, and it was my turn into the traffic lanes. My turn to drive in the wet, in the dark, under the fitful street lights that did little to relieve the darkness of the rain, the pounding rain coming down onto my vehicle, splattering on my windshield, taxing my windshield wipers to their utmost. They were screaming in agony, trying to clear the water that cascaded down over the glass. This is it. I'm driving through the dark rain, the wet rain, the splattering rain. Horror. This is horror. This is fright. This is worse than any murderer with a chainsaw. This is precipitation flowing down on us mere humans. Us small mortals who dare defy the weather. What could we do? What could we do but fly through the rain the best we could? And then the light turned red, the color of blood. Very, very frightening. And then it turned a gruesome green. A green blurred by the rain that continued to fall. I pressed the gas. What else could I do? We had to get out of there. We had to get home. Home so far away. Home where it's safe. Home where it's dry. Home where I left my umbrella. Home, that's where I wanted to go. But here I am in the rain, driving in the rain. The windshield wiper flipping back and forth, futilely trying to stop the rain from coming right through the glass at us. Rain. The horrible rain. The rain that came down from the sky. Came down from the sky like little drops of alien, well, whatever it was horrible. And it was taking over the world. You could see the trees, the grass, what grass was left, the sides of the road itself, the white line in the center, the yellow line. It was all getting wet. Wet from the rain that was falling, the rain that was coming down, just down at us. What could we do? I drove. There was nothing else to do. I gripped the steering wheel and I drove. I drove straight behind the car in front of me. I followed the red lights of the frightened person who was fleeing the rain to my front, and hoped that the guy behind me would not crash into me trying to get away from the rain, the horrible rain that chased us from the convenience store on New Leicester Highway all the way home. It was relentless, the rain pounding downward, beating on my windshield, because I'd recently had the car washed and the windshield treated. But that was just a short range defense. It couldn't last that long. The rain was still trying to get through the glass, get at the human inside the vehicle. The rain, the horrible rain, the terrible rain. The rain was after us. All over the big valley Asheville was in, the rain was attacking the people of the town. What could we do? Those of us who were caught out in it could only flee, could only keep driving through the rain, the terrible rain, the horrible rain, the wet rain, the ugly rain, the rain, the inhuman rain. I did what I could. I stayed between the lines. It was hard to see where I was going. The yellow sign said slow down 25 miles an hour. I did. I slowed to 15, but the rain still kept after me. That rain was, it was horrible. Horrible. Chasing me. It was behind me. It was in front of me. It was to the sides. It was pounding on top of the car, trying to peel back the roof like it was the top of a sardine can. And had the rain gotten the roof back, I would have suffered the fate of the sardines. The rain, aided a little bit in this case by the fog. And Allie, an evil friend of the rain. But I turned on the defroster and the fog on the window went away. What else could I do? I couldn't see out if I let the fog take over the windshield. That was exactly what the rain wanted. I knew it. I knew the rain was trying its best to break into the vehicle. But what could I do? I had to drive through the horror of the rain. Slowly I crept along the highway, and the rain kept coming down in deadly drops that slammed into the vehicle. It shook it. It tried to come through. Only the slick paint on top of the car kept it from making impact, I think. From making progress and ripping the top aside. It tried the glice. The glice was slick though, and the rain slid off of it. But it kept coming. When one raindrop fell and slid into the gutter, another took its place. Thousands, millions, billions of raindrops pounding downward, 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 pounding downward onto the vehicles and the people who were fool enough to be out in it without the umbrella they left at home. I knew I could get home. I knew I could fight my way home. I was only about a mile away now. But what would I do when I got home? I'd left my umbrella next to my desk. I knew I would have to leave the vehicle when I got home. I was worrying about that. Trying to keep the car on the road. Trying to fight my way through the rain. Worrying about what happened when I got there. Would I have to get out of the car? Well, of course I would have to get out of the car. Would I melt? I don't know. The rain was pounding. Relentless. It just kept coming and coming. All those zillions of raindrops now was getting heavier. The rain was winning. Right now it was winning. I knew it was winning. It was making everything wet. There was nothing outside that was dry. Only a few small artificial caves that people call homes. Only in those places was it still dry. And if the roof was to give way, it would leak. And if you didn't have enough pots to catch all the water, the rain would win. It would take your home. So you had to hope your roof held out. Rain, rain, worse than anything. The rain kept coming down. I fought my way. I fought my way across the countryside towards my home. Half a mile now, maybe half a mile. If I could just hold out for half a mile, I would be home. Then I would have to figure out how to get out of the car without getting wet. The rain would attack me. I knew it would. Anyone outside would get wet. The rain would plaster your hair to your forehead. Those of us who have hair on our forehead, I don't. But it would slide down my neck and go under my collar. The horror of it. The fear was the worst thing. The rain coming down. What could I do? The rain, I couldn't outrun the wet rain. You can't run between the raindrops. They're too close together. What can you do? How could I get out? I turned onto the road I lived on. The rain pounded at me. It made the road wet and slippery. It did everything it could to slide my vehicle off. But I hung on. I hung on because I saw my driveway. I saw my driveway coming up. I knew that if I could get to my driveway, I would have a chance. A slim, small chance, but at least a chance. I saw my house ahead, but I knew I wouldn't make it that far. So I turned into my office. I turned to the office and I got as close as I could to the door, and I parked, and I got out, and I ran inside. And that's why I'm alive to tell this tale today, the tale of the rain on the dark and stormy night, the rain that tried to get us all wet, and it failed. We won this time.
San Francisco, metropolis of the West, seaport of the Pacific, glories in its calm, landlocked bay. As far back as 1856, men dreamed of linking the city of San Francisco with the east shore of the bay. The steady growth of San Francisco and the Oakland area emphasized the need of communication. As the years passed, many proposals were made, but it remained for modern science and engineering to overcome almost insurmountable obstacles and make the dream come true. Today, there towers over San Francisco Bay a realization of the century-old dream. A 6-lane double-deck bridge, 8 miles long, connecting San Francisco with the Oakland-Berkeley area, spanning the largest major navigable body of water ever bridged. A novel method of sinking the foundations was employed. Steel cutting edges, towed to location between working docks, were built up with hollow steel cylinders. Wooden walls, the work walls, encased the cylinders. New units were added at the top as caisson sinking progressed. This cross-section diagram shows the caisson in position between 2 working docks. Air pressure was maintained in the cylinders to control the sinking as concrete was poured into the spaces between them. On reaching bedrock, the mud was scooped from the cylinders and replaced by a 30-foot concrete seal. Thus were built the deepest foundations ever undertaken, some as deep as 242 feet. On these unique foundations, concrete bases were built to receive the superstructure. The huge steel towers rose like magic. After years of planning, the visions and blueprints of the engineers took physical shape under the skilled hands of the men of action. The bridgemen, long experienced in this hazardous business, went about their work, sometimes in precarious positions, expertly guiding the steel into place. Some sections weighed as much as 79 tons. Looking toward San Francisco from the center anchorage in the West Bay, 2 of the 500-foot towers for the suspension bridge can be seen. Looking in the opposite direction past the other pair of towers, we see Yerba Buena Island, where the great East and West Bay sections of the bridge are connected by a tunnel. This tunnel, 63 feet wide and nearly as high, has the largest cross-section of any tunnel in the world. Let's cross to the other end of the tunnel for a glimpse at the East Bay section. 2 mighty piers will support the massive steel towers for the 1,400-foot cantilever span and its 2 520-foot anchor arms. High above the waters of the bay, the fabricated steel sections swing into place with infinite care and precision. Building the 3rd longest cantilever span in the world, the longest in the United States, was the bridgemen's toughest job. The last mighty section in the 40-million-pound cantilever structure fitted perfectly into position, surprising to the laymen but expected by the engineers. The remainder of the East Bay crossing to Oakland consisted of through truss and deck-type spans. Back on Yerba Buena Island, work is being completed on the cable anchorage for the 2nd of the West Bay twin suspension spans. Steel eye-bars and a wedge-shaped mass of concrete have been firmly embedded in the rock of the island. More eye-bars, sunk deep in 130,000 tons of concrete in San Francisco's Rincon Hill, form the western anchorage. The 340,000-ton center pier, with its steel A-frame and eye-bars, is ready to serve as a common cable anchorage for the twin suspension spans. While signs and sentinel launches keep bay traffic away from danger, the catwalk ropes are drawn into place. On the tower, 500 feet above the water, bridgemen adjust and secure the wire rope. To provide a firm, safe footing for the bridgemen, a special type of catwalk was designed. USS Cyclone chain-link fence was chosen for its lightweight, low wind resistance, and great strength. This bundle of Cyclone fence will cover a distance of 100 feet. When sufficient flooring had been placed to reach the next tower, it was stretched into position. This job calls for iron nerves, for the bridgemen ride the catwalk during the stretching operation. But after the precarious footing during tower erection, this 10-foot catwalk was a cinch. Fun, but with a serious purpose, to keep the wire mesh sliding freely as it is stretched over the steel ropes. San Francisco Bay looked like this from the catwalk. Far below, the old ferry boats plow stolidly along, soon to be replaced by trains of electric cars, automobiles and trucks, rolling in an endless stream across the bridge that soars above. At dinner time, the bridgemen lose no time hitting for home. A run along the catwalk to whet the appetite, then the sky ride, and down the escalator, helter-skelter. It's a hard, dangerous job, that of the bridgeman, but he loves it. With catwalks in position, the spectacular job of cable spinning is about to begin. Giant reels of special bridge wire, supplied by American Steel and Wire Company, rise majestically to the top of the anchorages. These huge reels, each carrying 60 miles of wire, were assembled at the nearby Columbia Steel Company warehouse. High above the water, the spinning wheels begin to travel. 18,000 tons of galvanized wire will be used to bind together two neighbor cities, Oakland and San Francisco. This cable will consist of 37 strands, each made up of 472 galvanized steel wires as thick as a lead pencil. In making a cable of this size, the individual wires are not twisted in any way, but laid parallel for the entire length of the bridge. From San Francisco to the center anchorage, more than a mile away, and from there to Yerba Buena Island, nearly another mile away, the spinning wheels work with ever-increasing speed. This model will illustrate the principle of cable spinning. The end of the wire is anchored temporarily and passed around the strand shoe. Then, the spinning wheel takes the loop across to the other side. There, it's removed from the spinning wheel and looped around that strand shoe. This is repeated until a sufficient number of wires have been laid. Then the wire is cut and spliced to the beginning end. Day and night spinning continues. Down plunge the spinning wheels toward the island anchorage. There, bridgemen remove the wire and rethread the wheel. Four cable wires are placed on every trip.
Let her go!
Two spinning wheels operate on each hauling rope. Halfway between the anchorages, they meet and pass. A clanking cowbell warns the bridgeman of the wheel's approach as it continues to spin its web of steel against the sky far above the traffic of the bay. When spinning was completed, the compactor went into action. 6 75-ton jacks in this machine squeeze and bind the strands into a mighty cable 28 3/4 inches in diameter. Special steel castings are spaced at intervals along the cable. Each carries 2 pairs of steel suspender ropes, cut to length and pre-stressed to support the bridge deck. Barges, controlled by radiophones, carry the massive prefabricated truss units, some weighing 200 tons, out into the bay to be hoisted into place by traveler cranes. Soon, hundreds of sections had been guided accurately into place in the structure. An amazing example of coordinated engineering, manufacturing, fabrication, and transportation.
Go to ralphwroberts.com to see this show again.